सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं स्वावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Shashwat. Thank you very much for the lovely Mangla Charan. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Avinash Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Thank you for joining us today as our mentor. You know, when we begin a chapter, we always look forward to the acronyms that you so kindly and so nicely explained to us so that we remember everything. So thank you very much for giving us your time, Prabhuji. Please accept our humble obeisances, and on behalf of everybody, Danvat Pranam to you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we are reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we are on chapter 11. And today, chapter 11 is called the Universal Form. And today we are on text 1. So we'll read the text, and because this is a timed session now, it's just 40 minutes. I think from Wednesday, we'll have our original session back. I have been a little bit committed, and my link has been used for teaching. So I'll get it back soon. So we'll read the text, and Prabhuji, then we'll read the purport and hand over to you, or how do you want us to do it, Prabhuji?
Yeah, that's right. We can do that. Do the text, translation and purpose. Then I will do the, I don't know whether I'll be able to share this time, because I don't seem to be I'm trying to enter on my computer, but I can't seem to get through.
Okay.
So I will probably be reading rather than sharing.
Okay, Prabhuji, no problem.
Is that okay?
That's not a problem, Prabhuji. Okay, so Shashwin, can you please read the text?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Arjuna uvacha matanugrahaya param guhyam adhyatma samjnitam yat tvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin. Kumar Prabhuji, can you do word to word, please?
Krishna. Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna said.
Arjuna said.
Arjuna said.
Mat anugrahaya,
mat anugrahaya,
Anugrahaya hai.
just to show me favor.
just to show me
Just to show
favor.
me favor.
Paramam,
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 supreme.
supreme,
supreme.
Kugayam,
Guhayam.
Kuyam,
confidential subject.
confidential
confidential
subject.
subject.
Adhyatma,
Adhyatma,
Atma,
spiritual.
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 Samjinitam,
Samchiritam,
Samnitam,
in the matter of.
in the matter
the
of.
matter of.
Yet,
Yat.
what?
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 Tvaya,
Tvaya.
by you.
By you.
By you.
Uktam,
Uktam.
Tam,
said.
Said.
say.
Vacha,
Vacha.
Vacha,
words.
Word.
word.
Tena,
Tena.
Tena,
by that.
By that.
Moha,
Moha.
Moha,
illusion.
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 I am
I am
this.
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 Vikada
Vigata
Vishada,
is removed.
Is removed.
removed.
Mama,
Mama,
Mama.
my.
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 Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Path Prabhuji, thank you for joining in. And Hare Krishna Juja Center, please accept humble obeisances, all of the sadhus.
Krishna, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Okay, so we are reading we are on chapter 11, text 1 of the universal form. I'll read the translation, and then Prahlad, if you can read the purport, I'll really appreciate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has been dispelled. Prahlad, is it possible for you to read the purport?
Yes. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
This chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. He is even the cause of the Mahavishnu, from whom the material universes emanate. Krishna is not an incarnation. He is the source of all incarnations. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a mere human being, as a friend of his, but as the source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he has such a great friend as Krishna. But now he is thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees the universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened, like Arjuna. But Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again into his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna has several times said. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit. So Arjuna acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, we hand over to you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you for giving me an opportunity. Although I still feel I'm not qualified, but I still give what I can. I've been hearing and what I have been listening to others. So thank you all for giving me an opportunity to be together with you and try to say something about Bhagavad Gita and about Krishna. So chapter 11 is actually, it says the universal form. And universal form in Hindi or in Sanskrit is called rupa. Yeah, rupa. So the acronym for this one is RUP. So I don't know whether anyone remembers the acronym for the previous chapter. I don't know whether you remember. The previous chapter acronym was SEEC, yeah? And S was stands for source of everything. And the middle one was the essence of Gita, yeah, 8 to 11. And after essence of Gita is everywhere, yeah? Krishna is everywhere. In everything he was there, yeah? So Krishna is everywhere. And now this chapter acronym is Rupa, which is universal form. So Sanskrit word for Rupa means form, yeah? Rupa means form. One of the most heated theological debates among the great thinkers has raged for centuries. So this has raged for centuries, and the question over whether God is personal or impersonal. Some argue that accepting a personal form of God amounts to anthropomorphic, which anthropomorphic means the human type of form. So the projection of a human qualities unto him. So Krishna, however, confirms in numerous passages of Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, I lost my. In Bhagavad Gita, that he manifests in many ways, impersonally and personally. He also categorically states that the personal is the original form. And in the basis of the and they are the basis, the personal form is the original form and the basis of the impersonal. This is further confirmed in chapter 11, this chapter which is Rupa, after Krishna displays another of his innumerable forms known as the Vishwarupa. So we'll find out afterwards in this chapter about the universal form. So first starting with R, yeah, R actually stands for the request. So if you see in the first text here, Arjuna actually says, by hearing my instructions, you have kindly given me these most confidential spiritual subjects. My illusion has now dispelled. And then he continues that. In text 3, he says, I want to see that form of yours. Yeah. So request. So the text 1 to 4 is about request. So Arjuna requests Krishna to reveal his universal form. But what is his purpose in requesting such a vision? Especially since he has already accepted Krishna as the supreme truth, which is in 10:11, 10:12, 13. So Arjuna says he doesn't have any personal agenda in seeing the universal form, but requests the vision of other reasons. Firstly, he wants to empathetically prove that Krishna is indeed the source of the entire creation. Furthermore, he establishes a criteria for any future candidate claiming to be God to also manifest such a mystical feat. So can anyone do that? So unfortunately, our modern world is plagued with so-called incarnation and godmen claiming to be the latest saviors of the society by dint of the magical trickery, subtle powers, charismatic conduct, or simply popular vote. Yeah. So then that is R for request, and U stands for universal form. So in text 5 to 14, he will give us the universal form. So Krishna grants Arjun's request and shows his universal form. While God is the source of this universe, he is simultaneously the universe itself, in the sense that he is present within his own creation. For example, in his writing, you can probably understand something about him. Yeah, the effects, the writing. Tell us something about the cause, the author, and the sense the cause is very much present within the effect. Similarly, God is the source of the universe, but is simultaneously encompassing the universe. That is the universal form. It's not that God is the sum of the parts, but rather that everything is contained within God. So that is his universal form. That will go in more details when somebody talks about it. Then P stands for prayers of Arjuna. So when Arjun sees this universal form, he is very much frightened. Yeah. So he was shocked and frightened. So Arjun offers the prayers to the universal form owed by the greatness of Krishna. He begs forgiveness. He says, please forgive me for having previously treated him with familiarity and friendship. And he says, most religious traditions endorse this majestic understanding of God. God, who is infallible creator, creator, controller, and all-knowing authority, it often leads to a fearful exchange with God, lacking intimacy, sweetness, and personal relationship. The God-fearing approach, however, is an elementary stage in our spiritual development. Having seen enough, Arjun anxiously requests Krishna to once again reveal his two-armed form so that he can again release the intimacy of that interaction. So we have seen previously from our talks, I think I talked about this before, is that we approach Lord in various ways. But most common way is people want something from the Lord. That's the first thing. You know, you approach Lord, I want money, I want this, I'm not well, so make me well. Things like that, we approach Lord. The second thing is out of fear, which is mentioned here. So we are fear, what will happen to me? Yeah. When I die, what will happen to me? Where will I go next? Yeah. And the third reason is purely love. Yeah. The friendship. Here, Krishna, Arjun says, reveal that previous form to me. I want, your two-arm form, so I can release that intimacy of that interaction. And finally, 46 to 55, Krishna actually reveals his armed form. So when Arjun sees this Manushim Rupa, the human-like form of Krishna, around whose neck is twinkling with the garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with flute and jewel ornaments, who gracefully with the threefold bending form of his attracts the mind of his devotees. The ancient Sanskrit text described Krishna as Raso Vai Saha, the very embodiment of the affectionate relationship, loving relish, and transcendental sweetness. God is a person who is full of color, character, and bliss. He knows how to have a good time and is much more interested in relishing the sweetness of pure love than the formal worship of those who approach him with awe and reverence. So he wants more pure love That's what we want. We want the pure love of Lord. And that's what we should be aiming for, loving relationship with Lord. So there is a quote by Einstein, and it says, when I read Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems so superfluous. Yeah, Albert Einstein, that's what he says. Now going to this verse, which is from text 1. So this chapter reveals that Krishna is the cause of all causes. And as far as Arjuna is concerned, his illusion is over. So he says in here, Moho yam vigato mama. Yeah. So the 10th chapter, if you remember, the 10th chapter ended saying, text 40 to 42. So 40 says, O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestation. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulence. Then 41, he says, know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations springs from but a spark of my splendor. So just the splendor of him. So in 42, he says, what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So the first part, he says, Mad Anugraha Paramam. Yeah. So he just says, just to show me favor, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this request from Arjuna actually is with an expression of gratitude. So if you think about it, it's a gratitude towards the Lord. So as we know all from 10:11, if you remember, 10:11 is one of the essence of the Gita verse, the 4 Chatur Sloki. And he says, Tesham evanukam partham aham agnana jamatamaha nasayami atma bhavasto gnana dipena bhashvata. So that he says, to show them special mercy, I dwelling in their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So here Arjun said in fine we'll see, he says, moho yam vigato mama. So my illusion has been dispelled, it has disappeared. So how do we know actually his illusion has disappeared? So if you remember, actually in 2.2 and 2.3, Arjun was saying, Lord was saying to Arjun, when he was saying, I cannot fight with this, because he was looking this at completely different point of view. So Lord says to Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to a higher planet, but to infamy. Yeah. So 2.3, he says, O son of Pritha, do not yield this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of the heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. So here he says, give this petty weakness of heart, yeah, and arise. So here Arjun says, Moho yam vigato mama, that my illusion has now been dispelled. So, but as we know, Krishna says at the beginning of chapter 10, text 1, Bhuya eva mahabhavo, shrunu me paramam vachaha, vakshyami hita kamyaya, yatte ham priya manaya. So the Supreme Personality of your Godhead said in the 10:1, listen again, O mighty armed Arjun, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than I've already explained. So here Arjun says, my illusion has disappeared. Yeah. So here in this one, Krishna's words have established a firm faith in his heart. Yeah. So as we said in previously 2.2 and 2.3, because of illusion, there was weakness in his heart. So if you think about in scientific terms, the weakness in heart is that the heart is not functioning well, or is not able to pump blood into the body. Yeah. But spiritually, if you think about it, because of illusion, there is weakness of heart. The heart doesn't have the strength to push away the undesirable emotions. Yeah. So to do its function. So our emotion, undesirable, we can't get rid of those. So there are two types of emotions, which are higher ennobling emotions and the lower and degrading emotions. So we have to sustain the higher ennobling emotion and resist the lower and degrading emotions. So mohoyam vigato mama. So that is the thing. Arjun, the questions were already answered. So what was the illusion that Arjuna was suffering from? So it was to consider less important things to be more important, and also to consider more important things to be less important. So what is the consider the less important thing? So less important things are like the material gains. You're not thinking anyone as a body. Yeah, that is material things. You and have an ego. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha. That thing you have that. It's like they are less important thing. Money is less important thing. So under illusion, we think as our body and our driver are more important than the soul. Yeah. So it's aspiration when moha goes away. So that is should be our aspiration. So illusion should go away. So if you remember in 246, there is a verse, Sukhena vigraho spraha vita vigraha bhaya krodha. So this is only part of the verse. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst threefold miseries, are elated when there is happiness. And who is free from the attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady mind. Yeah. So this is what it is. Yeah. That's a illusion. We want to get rid of that illusion. So rather than concentrating on temporary enjoyment, we need to increase our momentum in the spiritual goals. So yeah. So now Arjuna is going to ask in this thing is about Vishwarupa. And we know earlier, Arjuna was confused about his destiny, who he was, what he wanted to do, what he wanted to achieve ultimately. And these are the questions we should be asking as well. Who we are, who are we? Why are we under illusion? Illusion is this temporary thing. This world is actually the temporary thing. The real world is actually the spiritual world. That is where we want to go. Because why it is real world? Because that everything is permanent. Here, the world will be destroyed. It's temporary. So now Arjuna is going to ask about the Vishwarupa, as he was already sure that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we have heard from the verse in the essence of the Gita 12:13, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam, Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum, Ahustvam Rasayan Sarve, Deva Shir Naradas Tata, Asito Devalo Vyasa, Swayam Chaiva Pravishime. So that was the verse actually after the essence of the Gita, the 8 to 11, and Arjun was convinced. He says, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devalo, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me. So Arjuna was already convinced. He was already convinced. So all these subsequent questions after this verse are for lokahita. Lokahita means for the benefit of the worldly people. So benefit of us. That is to clearly clarify the spiritual concept for people in general. So in future, he will ask about the universal form. He will ask about the impersonal form. He will ask about the Sankhya philosophy, about the sannyas and tyaga. Yeah, everything he will ask, but that is for our benefit. As he has already been convinced, and his illusion has been dispelled. So again, I think in 1873, he also declares that as well. If just I'm saying part of 873, Nasto moha spritir labdha. My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. Yeah. So Arjun is convinced. So we need to be convinced that actually we are in illusion. And how can we convince? By reading Bhagavad Gita, if after that Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and associating with the devotees, and after that regularly chanting, sadhana, not after that, regularly chanting the names of Krishna, 16 rounds every day. If you can't, try with 1, 2, 3, 4, but regularly chanting, yeah, if you can. So your sadhana must be good to get into that sort of, to remove this illusion, the moha. That's what I'm ending up with here. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for giving us this acronym, RUPA. R standing for request, U for the universal form, P for prayers. Prabhuji, I missed A. A for?
Rupa. So
request, universal form, prayers of Arjuna, and A.
So the prayers of armed form, that A for armed form. So he when he reveals his form, so that is the, yeah, because before he was with so many arms, but now then he relishes his original form.
Okay, so the two-hand form, two-armed form.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Are there any questions or comments? We are just beginning chapter 11. I think everybody's silent. They're having the Monday blues, probably, Prabhuji. And it's been a long time. I haven't been in association as well, so I have missed you all, and I'm really grateful that you kept the Sangha going in spite of my absence. So I really, really appreciate Soni Mataji and her efforts. I think if there are no more questions, I'll hand over to Path Prabhuji. Path Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Avinash Prabhuji, for your giving class. Really, you are giving your lecture that Arjuna already convinced. And since the second chapter, third chapter, he's telling everything. Yeah, I know everything. And you told me everything. Also, not you, also Maharshi Vyasa, Asito Devala, like so many great sages also told me. And also, 8th chapter also got Arjuna also convinced by the Krishna's explanation. Also here also he's telling like that. Mad anugrahaya. Mad anugraha. Mad means me. For my anugraha means favoring me. You are telling this one, all the opulence of the God. Really you are telling. Arjuna is convinced. And he have no any doubt. Krishna told himself, even this knowledge of the transcendental knowledge was broken. What was given the millions of years before to the sun god Vivasvana, it was destroyed, so that by you I re-establish again. So Arjuna was a medium for us for the in the Kali Yuga, or for us, Krishna re-established again in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So really, you are giving this instructions, you're giving this a hint so that we can understand. This is Bhagavad Gita. It's not for Arjuna. Arjuna is fully convinced. He was his great devotee. Also, is a friend. How can we think as a best friend of a Krishna who have in the illusion for my benefits, for our benefits, Arjuna create this circumstance, the situation, so that Arjuna asks the question on behalf of us, all the Kali Yuga people. And here also telling, like after finish this 10th chapter, the opulence, the vibhuti of the absolute truth, the God. Everything, the beautiful things, the glorious things are represent to God. Are comes from God, also represent to God. When we drink water, we can see the taste, we can relate the taste, and when we taste it, then I can think the God. We can see the sun, we can think the power of the God. We can see the moon, we can think the beauty of the God. We can see the flowers, the seasons, everything. We can see the river, we can understand the Ganga river, and we can understand the power in the opulence of the God. So already when he's convinced everything, the beautiful things, the glorious things from God, and he referred to God, then he was fully convinced. And here, like a Madanugrahaya, Paramam Guiham, Guiham means most confidential knowledge, you are telling me again. Then he requests again, please show me that one. Also, Acharya giving this tika, it means a commentary there. Arjuna have no any question to asking. But in the future, people will asking, oh, he's telling like this way, but where is the proof? Because we people are very less intelligent people, we need proof. Everything we need proof. So that Krishna, whatever Krishna told, Arjuna told, please show your that universal form, what you told me. I want to see. Then when Krishna showed him and giving his vision, the perfect vision to show that, like called Divya Drushti, this perfect vision to show the opulence of Lord Krishna. After that, he pray again, please remove that one. I can't see that one. Then again, Krishna remove his, like Avinash told, he's in the two-armed form, is as usual form, and show this thing. And what he saw, when we are going further, we can understand everything from his bodies. Even he saw all the Kurus, even along the Pitama, Bhishma, Duryodhana, Dronacharya, Karna, everything, everyone is passed away. Only the 4 or 5 Pandavas are remaining. Everyone is spoiled there. All the colors, everything. Like Krishna show him in the mouth to his mother Yashoda when he was eating mud. The universal form